Well, welcome everybody to this wonderful session. I feel very privileged here to be amongst all these amazing artists. And I really hope this session will be very useful for not only pianists, but any piano lovers or performers in general, that many of the ideas that we're going to share here today can help other people on how to include music by women, not only women, and diverse composers. I think whatever we are going to talk here today is going to serve as an example for how to find this repertoire, how to present it to people, and introduce it in a very respectful way, in a sense like it deserves our attention and respect, and also to make it really interesting for people to actually be even more curious to discover even more things about. I am Gabriela Di Lagio. For people who don't know me, I am a soprano and I am the founder of the project Donne Women in Music, which promotes women in music from past and present. And we also try to do lots of events like this to engage not only musicians, but music lovers, and hopefully help to change a little bit of the inequality that we still have in the music industry and inspire more people in our way. So today I have 5 amazing artists from different places, and I would like to ask them to actually tell you all who they are and what, well, they're all pianists, as you know, we're going to talk about piano, but all of them has different aspects of their career and they do things together, some of them not. So Sandra, why don't you start?
All right. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. What an honor. So I'm Sandra Mogensen, unless you want to know me in Danish, which my name is Sandra Mogensen. So I'm a Canadian of Danish and Latvian background, and I'm currently in Canada. And my career is a lot of different things as a pianist, and a lot of teaching and performing and recording. And currently, my full focus is music by women composers because of all the decades till now, which were pretty much only male composers. Now I have to balance that by the next several decades has to be mainly women. And so I'm very honored to have my colleague here as well, Erica Sipes. We together have founded and are running something called Piano Music She Wrote. And we'll talk more about that. And as well, I do have a series of recordings called En Pleine Lumière, which I'm in the midst of recording several volumes of just music by women over 6 generations. That's a summary, I guess.
Yes, thank you. I like this idea that for the first half of your career, you only played men, now you only play women.
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, it's balance. Yeah.
That's fair. Erica.
Yes, I guess I'm a natural follow-up since I'm the second half of Piano Music She Wrote. So I am not a recording artist, but I have a lot of hats. So I love, probably one of my biggest passions is working with young musicians and with amateurs, anybody that just is curious and wants to learn how to come across and present themselves as musicians to their own, at their own level that they're comfortable with. So I do work at one of the local universities here, but I do coachings with anybody that wants them. One of my big things is helping people improve how they practice and how they perform, because I really just think more people should be out there doing music at their level. There needs to be more music, period. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I have a crazy sight reading show that I live stream every week, kind of in the same vein. It's just to get people more and more comfortable with putting themselves out there musically and creatively.
Thank you, Erica. We will talk about Piano Music She Wrote later, because I think it will be very helpful for the subject we are talking anyway. I would like to ask Késia Decoté to say hi.
Hello, hi. So I am a Brazilian pianist, and these days I am in the UK. So nowadays I play mostly contemporary music, so lots of music by living composers, collaboration with living composers. Of course, still like keeping the tradition, playing pieces and repertoire from the tradition of the piano, but like my focus is mostly on contemporary music. And from this affinity with contemporary music, I was kind of naturally drawn to music by women composers, so contemporary women. And then from that, I start to also being like directed, like in bringing the interest to music by women by like all times. And then like just lately, we've been seeing so many amazing works that have been composed by women since forever. And then it was like, wow. So like nowadays also have this keen interest of discovering more music by women and promoting and encouraging other artists to do the same, to discover this amazing music. And yes, and I also like, my keen interest is also to explore other ways to present music, to format the concerts, breaking the conventions of the concert hall, so exploring blending with dance, theater, taking the audience out of the seats, and all these kind of other creative ways to enjoy music.
Wonderful. Peter, Antonio, and I will just leave you last because Peter is the first time he's doing a session with us. So Peter, welcome. You're mute, you're mute, you're mute. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Well, thank you for having me. Sorry about that. My name is Peter Jablonski. I suppose one could say I'm a concert pianist. I'm Swedish, despite my Polish surname. My father is Polish. I now live in Sweden again after 30 years in London. I suppose when I was really young, I wanted to be a tennis player like Björn Borg. Then I wanted to be a jazz drummer, and then somehow I ended up, luckily, playing the piano. And I've been lucky enough to have it as my career for 30 years now. I suppose I was signed by Decca when I was 18, and then Ashkenazi kind of took me under his wing, and I've been playing the piano ever since. And these days, my better half, my partner, Anastasia, is a musicologist, and she has sprung open the world of different composers and female composers to the point where I now actually play quite a lot of female piano music. And my next CD will be of Grażyna Bacewicz, actually my next 2 CDs. So, yeah.
Yeah, welcome. That's going to be amazing to talk to you about, because your repertoire, probably like Antonio as well, no, I think is the most difficult one to incorporate sometimes, no, when you're hired to play this or that. No? Antonio, you're next.
Hi, I'm Antonio. I'm Spanish, but I'm based in London, and I'm a pianist as well. I divide my time between focusing on my solo career, but also chamber music. Those are my 2 love interests. And then I also teach, and I try to incorporate my focus and my passion on the repertoire by women composers, not only in my concerts and my chamber music recitals, as well as the solo and recordings, but also in education, because I think it's vital. And I'm very happy to be here with you all.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you. I think my next question to all of you, and I'm only asking this because sometimes people think, oh my God, I don't know this repertoire. And it's always interesting to know that for all of us, I guess, this is not something that we all knew for a very long time and we are here to teach you. No. So very quickly, so if I can go around again and just, can you, each one of you tell us, when did you come across this repertoire, or when did you wake up? I feel like I woke up and now it's kind of, you have to catch up for a while to sort of recover what you didn't do. So how was it for each one of you? Just share that experience with us. Sandra, I'm
Do I
gonna go
start
like,
again? Okay.
yeah, let's go again.
Well, for me, it's been only since about January of 2019 when I don't know what happened. Just all of a sudden, some lightning bolt hit me. And I just started to look into repertoire written by women, and discovered that I had bought this lie all my life, that women didn't compose, and if they did, so embarrassing that I fell for that, but now I'm trying to make up for it. And yeah, that's my 24/7 focus anymore.
Yeah. Peter?
Well, I think I could credit myself that all along I was kind of interested, of course, always in the main composers, but in the slightly more obscure corners of the repertoire. I've played Szymanowski and Maciejewski and Barber and Copland and Stenhammar and Nielsen and Sibelius piano music that I think many people don't know they wrote. But I hadn't, until actually Anastasia pointed out the gaping hole in my repertoire, played any female composers, to my great shame. It wasn't because I didn't want to, I just hadn't really thought about it. Of course, I knew about music by Clara Schumann or Fanny Mendelssohn or Gubaidulina, etc. Actually, some of my pupils played music by Gubaidulina. But when Anastasia started, she was researching Augusta Olms, for instance. And then I started playing some music by Augusta. And in the festival that we run in Sweden, then she found a fantastic grand piano sonata by a Swedish female composer called Valborg Aulin. Phenomenal piano sonata. Actually, the Grieg theme sonata turned upside down. In my view, this sonata can absolutely compete with Grieg, if not even better. So in these days, actually, quite a big focus on trying to put female composers into my repertoire. And the Batsevich, I will record basically all of her solo music and both piano concertos with the Finnish Radio Symphony. So I think I'm at least on the right path in trying to remedy my youthful ignorance.
Definitely, it sounds like it. Késia?
I first start playing music written by a woman in 2016. So for when I was put into the project for my PhD, that I wanted to play only Brazilian contemporary music. So and then looking for repertoire, so I found out these beautiful pieces written by some women. And then by specializing in contemporary music, so collaborations came, and then I was invited to participate in some projects dedicated to music written by women composers. And then in these projects, they started to ask me to also play historical pieces. And then it was kind of, it was what Sandra says in another talk. It was like another room of the house that opened to me. I was like, wow. And why we're not shown this from the beginning, pieces that, like Peter says, they have nothing to miss from the colleague male composers. And then what at the beginning was just something very casual for me, just playing pieces written by women because I like the pieces, they're good. It starts to become something very deliberate from a conversation that I had with a Brazilian composer, Valéria Bonafé, that every action, every decision that we make, it kind of speaks much more. It speaks in a political sense. I was okay, so this has to be deliberate, has to be an conscious and something that I'm aware, and it's my deliberate choice. And
and the rest is history.
Thank you, it's been history.
Yeah, but it's funny because once you've seen it, you've seen the light. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, right? It's a sort of, how can you not do it? It's impossible. Erica.
Very similar experience for many. So about probably 2 years ago, a flutist who lives in my area asked me if I would collaborate with her on a recital in a very, very small rural town where she grew up nearby. And I said, of course, I would love to. And she said, well, it's all music written by women. And I said, that's great, fantastic. But then I realized I had no idea what would possibly be on this program. And so I asked her, what will we be playing? And she sent me the rep. And I only knew one composer, I'm so embarrassed to say, that was on that list. And yeah, I don't even know if I admitted to her that I didn't know most of the composers. But after that program that I loved so much, yeah, it was like light bulb moment. And I realized I needed to explore this further. And then I saw at the same time that Sandra was starting this recording project, which led to conversations between the two of us. And now we are where we are.
Yeah, because they are friends on Twitter for what, 10 years, the two of you? Friends on Twitter is great, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Antonio.
In my case, I think I told you in our live recently, it was introduced sort of gradually, sort of natural, because the biggest influences in my life and career have always been women. I've always been taught by women. And so whilst I was starting to learn piano in young age, I also started harpsichord, and I was already introduced to Elisabeth Jacquet de la Guerre that way. So, and I didn't even question it. I remember telling you that I didn't question anything, luckily, right? And as it should be. I didn't question whether I was playing a female composer or not. So but that is very unusual. So I feel very grateful and lucky that I didn't have that questioning. And also similarly with Lili Boulanger and Taillefer, I've been playing the music by these two for some years now. And that came to perhaps becoming more reflective and maturing, hopefully. That led me to organize my thoughts and my drive and my passion. And okay, similarly to Sandra, how she said about sort of a moment of, how do you call that? Like, not revelation, but, you know, epiphany or something. And then, yes, a bit like that, that led me to my first CD on all women. So, yeah. And similarly, the Instagram project that, you know, I lead, where I just try to create this catalog so that we show a little bit of a woman composer that has been, unfortunately, really forgotten every day. And it's growing and it's growing, and we are now on 400. So hopefully we will carry on.
Yeah, you have to check his Instagram. He does stories, right? They're all stories, aren't they, Antonio?
Yes.
Yeah, and there are more than 400, I think. Yeah, there are pages and pages and pages.
A lot of research. It's very enjoyable, certainly.
Yeah, it's quite shocking. I think I have a similar story to all of you. For me, it was more like 2014 when I was doing research for Shakespeare year, 2015. There are lots of celebrations, and I was asked to sing many cycles with poetry by Shakespeare, and some of the concerts they gave me freedom to research. And then I came across many women, and the rest is history as well. But it is quite shocking, and it is very shamey. You don't want to tell anybody. And when I started telling, I think it's more shocking because there are still so many people that still don't know, and still so many performers and institutions and education institutions that still don't have that as a must-have. And I think Késia was saying this in another chat we had, that when we were studying in Brazil, when we at the university, it was compulsory for us to add a piece by a Brazilian composer in every recital. And then she said, oh, I think we should come up with something like that. You know, you have to create a rule that is compulsory for us as performers to always add a piece by a woman or a diverse composer to sort of start to catch up. Well, we're not there yet. I think my next question now I will start with Peter and Antonio and Késia on this, and then I will leave you, Erica and Sandra, last, because I know then you can talk about piano music she wrote as well. It's much harder when you're hired to perform, to actually play this music, right? So how can you solve this problem, Peter? I'm going to talk to Peter first. I know you're doing your own recording projects, and this is one thing, but not all artists have this chance to choose what they're going to record in a certain period of their careers. So what's the solution if for somebody like you at your stage in your career, Peter? So as you said, 30 years of career, and suddenly you have the power now to introduce something new to your audiences. How would you do it?
I think it's a very difficult question. It's a very multifaceted problem. I think in your solo recitals and chamber music concerts and things like that, we have a duty, really, as performers to be adventurous. And I think that most audiences are more adventurous than we give them the credit for as well. We think they need a steady diet of this or of that or that, sure. But I think they're quite open to good performances and good music, absolutely. When it comes to playing piano concertos with an orchestra, of course, this is difficult. For instance, I played the Grieg piano concerto, I think over 100 times, almost with 100 orchestras. There's a piano concerto by Wilhelm Stenhammar that I love very much, Swedish composer. I didn't manage to get it programmed once, even with all my conductor friends, etc. And this is a fantastic piano concerto. I just didn't manage until later on this year, when I'm now 50 years old, and will play this concerto for the first time. So of course, you have to have the support by a conductor and by concert halls and orchestras. So this is unfortunately something we're going to have to work on over a longer period of time, how to introduce these concertos. But I think in your solo programs and in projects like that, we should just simply go for it. Absolutely. I don't think anybody in the audience would be disappointed if you said you're going to play a certain piece. Of course not.
Definitely. We have a comment here, and I'm going to go to Késia after that, because it's a Luciani Cardassi.
My idol.
Yes. She says, as a performer, I think the good way to incorporate more music by women composers is by collaborating with women who are composing today. So straight to Késia after that. And she says, as a performer, I see that we have an important role today to change the patriarchal scene, inviting and promoting the music by women, exactly as Peter said as well. So Késia, your approach is actually fantastic as well, because I think as a performer myself, I was never really encouraged to collaborate as part of my education. And this is we're missing so much. I really wish it was part of our curriculum, that the moment you start, collaborate, put people in contact. And because we are just kind of, we are playing all this music by these dead people. And then suddenly you have somebody who is your colleague. I'm a composer. You never occurred to collaborate. Oh,
yes,
God.
That's my history. Because when I was still at university and my undergraduate in here, so like playing all the repertoire, the Chopin, the Mozart, the Bach, every semester. And then just next door, my friends were like writing new music, like in the same class than me. It was like, why am I not playing Paulo's piece? Like literally, I'm like, that's a real name. Sorry, Paulo. And I just said, Paulo, I see that you are writing a piece for piano as part of your assignment. Do you want me to play it? And then that's so cool to sit with them and then to play, to exchange things. And that's another interesting topic in this history, because during my undergraduate years, the only composer colleagues that I had were boys. So like back then, I just remember like there was one girl, but I didn't get to collaborate with her. And then just yesterday, I was at a university in London, playing pieces by these students, and it was just like a sea of girls composing, was playing their music. So it's like, wow, yes, that's good. And yeah, and like in my experience, mostly playing like my solo concerts, yeah, I think I don't have like the same kinds of negotiation that I have that Peter has, like, but like having with the concertos, I have more freedom. But it's still, I had some situations where the curator of the series wanted a kind of repertoire, and that wasn't even applying to like pieces by women. Like, so it's just a kind of she wanted a very traditional, because that was her audience. And it was a kind of negotiate. Okay, I'll play these Brahms, I'll play this, but also I'm gonna introduce this. Yeah, just because this is my thing, you know. And then at the end, her very traditional audience was like, "Wow, I love those pieces. Never heard." So I think it's part of the art of making music, these negotiations, you know. So you give a little here and then introduce a little there, and if it's music and people come with an open ear wanting to listen to music, that's going to be beautiful for everyone, I think.
Yeah, it's a thing that we all wish all organizations would believe. They'll trust your audiences.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, have faith in your audiences, and I truly believe when you as a performer, if you introduce something, as I said at the beginning, with respect and with dedication, and you kind of invite people to be on that journey with you, even if it's the craziest piece, you know, they are part of that, they are there with you. So it's our job, but you know, people need to allow us to do sometimes. Antonio, so you do a bit of both, you know, because I think with chamber music you also have more freedom, but you also do concert as well. You can always do an encore piece, can't you?
Yes. No, I'm lucky that in the recent past, as I was saying, I chose as well my repertoire for these concertos and this CD and all the recitals that came with it. And but obviously, I also remember spending a lot of time in constructing the program really well, because obviously, and this is something I insist a lot on the booklet as well. I spent a lot of time on researching and went through thousands of pieces. That's an exaggeration, of course, but you know. And but then, of course, because it's so important to bring to light all these pieces that haven't had the chance, and that's a no-brainer for me. But after that, you also have to pick, judging by your own, humbly, but also your musical judgments, and discern which pieces have a better composing quality than others, same as you would do with pieces written by men, because you're prioritizing music there. And I feel that's so important to not feel almost like we have a taboo on talking about that, because that would be counterproductive. It would play against us. I think, obviously, it's such an important thing. So I'm trying to always balance the curiosity of new repertoire, but also prioritizing the ones I think they're better musically, and that's okay. And, so yeah, it's hard, it's difficult, but yeah, more freedom certainly with chamber music and solo, obviously.
It's difficult, but it's possible.
Yes.
Sandra and Erica, I'm gonna cross to, well, you can also answer this question, but it sounds like you have more control of what you can do. Why don't you tell us, because the next question will be, and there is a belief that, oh, it's very difficult. There are many beliefs that people use to justify why we are not including music. And one of them is very hard to find the music. Yes, some music is not that easy, it's not as easy, but I don't think people realize as well that it's not that difficult, and that there is a lot of repertoire available. And now I would like to ask Sandra and Erica to talk about how they decided to help to solve that problem with the piano music she wrote, which is an amazing project they started together. So off to you.
Okay, you want to go?
Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. So yes, so we really wanted to do something to help people get started with exploring music written by women. And because we do realize that it is more challenging, I think, to get a hold of sheet music, actual sheet music, for people to start being able to sit at the piano and play some of this music, because that's how we hear it, that's how we learn. Because also I should add here that so much of the music that we're exploring on our channel, some of it has been recorded before, but a lot of it has never been recorded. So if you're looking at your average pianist who's a piano student or a piano teacher teaching children or amateurs or adults, how are they going to know what these pieces sound like? It's just would be too time consuming. So that's what we wanted to solve, was this problem, and to just make this so accessible, because both Sandra and I had discovered there's IMSLP, which is a fantastic online resource where people scan sheet music, most of which is in the public domain, and they put those PDFs online so that anybody can download them, view them at any time for free. So we thought, what a good way to open that door for people, to take away the issue of money and accessibility, so that they can just start exploring. So that's what we did, but what we found out is that when you go to IMSLP, you can pull up a list of all the female composers, or at least most of them. But from there, it was really hard to find the piano music. You couldn't filter beyond just female composers. So we decided and agreed that Sandra would start at A in the alphabet and I would start at Z, and we would open every composer's link and look for all the scores by women, and then document them in a spreadsheet or directory. So that's where we started. Sandra, do you want to kind of take over? And
Sure. Yeah, and that took many months. Thank goodness we had nothing but time last year to do that. And then from there, as Erica mentioned, we have a channel. We have a YouTube channel named Piano Music She Wrote. You can always go there and subscribe, where we each record something weekly and post a performance of a piece from that directory that we've created. So all that music that's on IMSLP, I don't know if we'll get through all 3,000 plus piano pieces written by women that are there. It, as Antonio was saying, it does take some discerning to see, okay, well, is this something that is exciting to play? Does it suit each of us? What, you know, we have a certain also need to be able to learn it quite quickly because we're so regularly posting. So right now our main two prongs are this directory that we've created, online guide to all the piano pieces written by women found on IMSLP. Perhaps we'll expand beyond IMSLP at some point, but right now there are 3,000 pieces. There's lots. And so we have that, and then we have the YouTube project that goes alongside that.
I just pasted the link of their website here on the chat, and which will
thank you.
Stay here later. And it's fantastic. It's exactly as they described it. And I think as a performer, sometimes the thing you need the most is to listen to a piece really quickly, so you can decide how to add things or not to a concert, to a program. So they are recording, these guys, those two, Erica and Sandra, they're recording, very good quality recordings, because it doesn't have to be. One of the problems also with women composers is that there are not enough good recordings. It's good to mention that for all people, performers out there, record music by women, especially things that have not been recorded yet, because this will help to solve the problem in the future as well. It will help radio stations. Radio stations sometimes can't play the music because they're not good high level recordings of the pieces. But we have YouTube, and as performers, we all been there and we searched for things and we saw other people performing, and that's exactly what they're doing. And it's amazing just to listen to the piece, and if you listen to them perform it, you can find the music because they already cataloged for you. So the website is there. So not that easy for you guys Peter, so how do you search for your pieces? What's your process? Oh my God, the time is going really fast. So I need just to tell you, Késia, Peter, and Antonio, share with people out there, how do you search? What you use, if you have a tip, a website, or...
Well, I'm in that unusually lucky position, like I said, that my partner is a musicologist, and she constantly flags composers that I ought to be looking into. So I have a mountain of wonderful female composers that I have to look into. But your own site, IMSLP, there's one called Swedish Musical Heritage, fantastic, by century, by instrumentation, whatever you want. Of course, ultimately, one would wish that piano teachers would help the students. Well, but if you are interested, and if you have your Sherlock Holmes hat, the world is there, and you know it's it's a modern world, and things can be found. But for instance, I keep going on about the Polish composer Grażyna Bacewicz. I heard one recording that exists of her first piano sonata, and I got really keen on wanting to record that, and found to my horror that the sonata that was composed in 1949 has still not been published. So I called up her publisher. I said, "Why haven't you done this?" And then, so now we're doing it. And I'm
fantastic.
The finally Grażyna Bacewicz piano sonata #1, composed in 1949, will be coming out. So yes, it can be a problem, but one has to persevere. There's no other choice.
Amazing. Well done. Késia.
Can I pick up from that? Because I've been in my niche of contemporary music. It's like can be easier and more difficult. And for example, in a way, because it's like collaborations with people. So like, so the women are there, the girls are there, so you just make contacts through social media is great. Like really, I've been like starting collaborations really like I just recorded an album with a young composer here from the UK, Charlotte Bodereau, just like gorgeous music. That it started on Twitter, like Sandra and Erica. So social media is really great for that. But then on the other hand, like, for example, another day I wanted to play a piece by a Brazilian composer that she's an icon in the Brazilian contemporary music, Wanda Dantas Leite, and her work is just not published. And it's somewhere in the archive of the family that's very difficult to access. So I've been like, so I had to go through her ex-students and then ask for like that teacher in the university until I get to her family, and then been talking with her daughter to get. So there's also these like that things are not available. That's another part of the fun as well, isn't it? So let's do that, and let's make it this music to happen, to go to the air. So I think, and when the pieces are published, so usually the publishers, the websites, they can be helpful as well. You just like go do your search through the catalog, and our colleagues, so like the work by Sandra and like DONNE and many other initiatives that are helping kind of trailblazing. And which one? And then
Twitter is very helpful as well. You can ask anything on Twitter nowadays. People are super helpful. So if you tweet to us, for example, if you have a question, I will normally retweet, and then from there you have people who collaborate. It's very nice. And this is another message to people out there who have, had a musician in their family, and they have boxes in your house with music. Take it somewhere, to a library, to a musicologist, because sometimes this music stays there for a century until it's discovered again. So if you have music in your family, share with a musician. You never know. Antonio, what's your tip?
Yeah, I wanted to, because you've mentioned many options. First of all, in terms of piano music you wrote, I'm talking to the director of the school where I teach in, because I really want them to subscribe, and so that we can access and start using them more. But then also, if anyone can have the means to pay for some music, I also think Furore Verlag is very important because it's the publisher only on female music by women. And also there is a German site called Archive of Freie Musik or something like that. I don't pronounce it really well, but they are the same and have been very helpful with me in the past. Then with the special cases of, for example, Kapralova, who is a composer that I play very often. The Kapralova Society have a magnificent website where you can access all her music really easily. And the same happens with Henriette Bosmans, I think, who I also play a lot chamber music-wise. And then, and taking from Késia, I'm now focusing on Latin American women composers for a next project. And I must say, Instituto Piano Brasileiro have been super helpful. Super helpful. And I have like so many documents by Brazilian women now.
That's true. They're very helpful. I'm just putting also here on the chat on Donne's website. There is a page called Projects We Love, which is called Amplify. And there I'm always listing other projects around the world where you can find, and some of them are very specific. You know, there is one that's only guitar music by women, or violin music by women. But there is one also, Présence Compositrice, in France, in Paris. It's a fantastic one that they actually, you search there, and they are only, it's not about the composers only, but it's about the published works. So you search, and it can be anything, voice with clarinet and piano, and it takes you to the music. So that one I'm gonna put. Yes, go.
And because of my nationality, I mustn't forget the Mapa de las Creadoras, the map of the creators, who, as you know, Gabriela, is by Shakira Ventura, and it's a wonderful resource where you can access any country in the world and see who what women composers were there. And
so everything. All these people are on the last link I shared, Donne's Amplify page. You find all of them over there. It's amazing. So many people doing amazing things. If people have questions, start thinking about them. I want to do another round, and this round is a bit more deep. I wanted to finish with how can we encourage young performers to engage with this idea of performing music by women. And I say you women, but not only women, just not the white European that geniuses that we love and will still love, because I love all of them. I have absolutely admiration for so many composers. They were part of my music story. Like, I can't forget them. But now it's time to bring more people into the story. And I think for me, I've seen my own development since I started Donne. And at the beginning, it was really where are the women? I miss their stories. I want to hear their music. And now I calm down a bit more, but not really, but my strength is even stronger because I can see the importance of not only promoting women, but I think there is a deeper meaning to everything that we do. And I think we are living moments when, if we say you're pro-equality, you are not a racist, everything is very nice. But my question I ask myself is, what am I doing actually to change something? And we can change, we choose to change in music because music is our life. So what would be your messages to young performers out there who probably are thinking, well, I would do one piece. What could we say that is, what could you say, or what would you say to a young yourself? Well, not young yourself, because you probably will want to know the repertoire anyway. But what would you say, or to maybe to teachers in institutions? You know, I saw yesterday at Twitter that Cambridge actually took a paper out of the curriculum of women and music out. And there was this massive thing going on, asking them to not to do. So what would we say, not only to young people, but to institutions, to teachers out there, to sort of bring this message in a deeper level as people and artists? Sandra.
Well, I think if one hasn't started along this road, you must have started if you're watching this discussion, but it's just take a step and then take another step and take another step, exploring. And it's this ripple effect. Compared to January of 2019, when I had a real struggle for some time that year to find the scores that I was looking for. It's much, much easier now to find than just over 2 years ago. One little thing that well, with my own students, they definitely have a very balanced diet of repertoire. But even I was adjudicating a competition a couple of weeks ago, maybe around 30 different pieces were played. And what was it? 2 or 3 were by female composers. So in my adjudication, I gave each participant a gift of a suggestion. This piece would really be right up your alley, I think. Gave it a little thought as to the character and the style and the level of the student. And for each one, here, try this. So it's just start. Just take some steps, one at a time.
Peter?
Very simple. There is an enormous universe of beautiful, fantastic music out there that we don't know about. And it's important, I think, if you're not going to be a stagnant artist, to be inquisitive. Of course, there's a difficulty with it for young pianists. The repertoire for our instrument is so huge. You could spend your life with Chopin and never get to the bottom. So then you're all young pianists, oh, they want to play this. Of course, they have to work their way through the core repertoire. But I think they would be greatly have enhanced musical lives if they were a little bit more Sherlock Holmes, put on that hat and looked around for what there is. I think also it could help them in their careers, not to go in the same steps as everybody else and be compared to everybody else. There's also that aspect. There's basically a lot of fantastic music that one as an artist ought to be interested in.
Sure, because you also have the individuals as well, no? Go search for new things.
That's it.
Yeah, dare to be different. Késia.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go, because curiosity, it's a beautiful thing. So if you just be curious to explore, and then that can take you to so many beautiful discoveries. And yeah, exactly, like going through the roads less beaten, and that can be so much fun, and going through the roads less beaten. But also, as we have more experience, pianists playing in recordings, that's also inspiring, I think, because like when we are young, we always listen to those recordings and say, oh, I want to play this piece. So as the recordings become available, so thank you, Peter, thank you, Antonio, Sandra, and Erica, so the young can listen like, what a beautiful piece, I want to play that. So I think it's like everything comes together.
And I think, can you, as a performer of contemporary music, so all the other students, like, how do you approach composers to collaborate? That's a good tip.
You just come and wink, and they're gonna be yes, please. Am I lying? Like, it's just the dream of every single composer. Like, really, you wanna play my music? Yes, please. And then, yeah, just like wave, and then like also they were gonna fall on your lap, and that's gonna be so much fun. Seriously, like from
that is actually true, because I think I was always afraid of asking composers, because I always thought they would ask us, because they would come to me and say, oh, would you sing my piece? And I always felt like, oh, I don't know. And the other day I was, I hope she doesn't mind I said that, but I was listening to, I'm always discovering new music to sing. It's so amazing. And there is this British composer Ella German Pinto. I don't know if you know her. Oh, she writes so beautiful. And she has a song cycle. And then I just listened to it and I wrote to her, oh, where can I find your music? Because I couldn't find. And then I just said a few words about her music and she was so moved. And then she said to me, oh yes, we're just finishing the editing. Do you mind I put your quote on my website? Can I say your name? I can just say anonymous. Oh, say my name, of course. So people, talk to composers, collaborate as soon as possible, as young as you are, because the other thing as well, collaboration is not easy, but you learn so much about yourself as well. Erica, what's your message?
I think I have two little messages. So much has already been said that is so good and right on. But one thing I would say is that I think give these young people, young musicians, and young audiences credit. I think perhaps they are more open-minded than we might traditionally think or in the past that we've given them credit for. So I think it's important to just, like Peter has said, and Antonio, just go out and do it, offer it, and don't think twice. Don't apologize, right? So I think the more that we go out and do that and make this music heard, it's going to inspire people. And I have a teenager, and I can tell you that she doesn't see differences between men and women and race and all of that. It's just not as much of the younger generation's vernacular. So let's not keep giving them that as an excuse. Don't even have that be part of the conversation. And then the other thing I would say too is to encourage them to be curious, yes, and to have conversations with composers, and to not, like, one thing that I've really, that's most excited me about what we've done on our channel is I've discovered at least now 2 composers that are living, but they're not even, they don't consider themselves composers. They are just people that are doing other things now, but happened to have scanned their music that they wrote when they were teenagers, and they put it on an IMSLP. Well, I fell in love with their pieces, recorded them, and when I contacted them to tell them I was recording them, they were just flabbergasted and so emotional because they said, I just put it up there because I didn't know what else to do with it. I never thought anyone would play it. Well, who knows? Maybe they'll compose another piece again. And I hope they do. And young people can encourage other young composers. I just think, I don't know, maybe it sounds too rosy and all that, but I just think we can all encourage one another and break down so many of these barriers that have been there a lot of our history.
Antonio, what else can you say? Oh, Sandra wants to.
Just one little extra. I think we also really need to encourage those who have an interest in pursuing research in some way. We need so many researchers and musicologists now to track down these scores and study these composers and build the story around them that we know very little of for many of them. Yeah.
Antonio.
I love what Erica said about how to treat the younger. Recently, I had one student that has this compilation of French music because he loves French piano music, as I always have done. So I feel really, I relate. And among all the composers, he really wanted to play Chaminade. And that was so good. And so in the beginning, an element of surprise, and I hated that. Why do I have to still have this element of surprise? It's a great piece, that one, full stop, right? And so it's in that way of what you've mentioned. And also I always mention that to be natural, to explain the context of the pieces, but also be natural. Say, this needs to be amplified and brought out to light. But also then once you've said that, that's it. Treat it as music. And so it's to find the right balance among both for me. And so naturality, but also it's very easy to say, I want to see a change. I want to see a change. And then, not do much. Join a change by just doing a little step, as Sandra said, just step by step, just if you play chamber music with flute, just do a Melbourne, or I don't know, if you're interested in music by, you know, German post-romanticism, why not also think of Ethel Smythe? I don't know, always something extra, always a bit further, and you will find a lot of surprises.
I think we have a great new generation, which is helping a lot. The other day I saw a TikTok of Emily Baer, who's a very young composer, doing the Bridgerton musical now as well. And she did a lovely TikTok saying, this is like this is how a composer looks like, and that it was her conducting and writing those massive scores. And this is amazing. I think there is a great example for the new generation, but there is a danger that we still have to recover a lot of the historical composers, that we can't forget about them, because there's amazing repertoire out there, isn't it? I don't know if people have any questions. Everybody's been very shy with questions. Say it now, but in the meantime, do you have questions to each other? Just in case.
When can we get together for coffee in the same cafe, all of us?
Questions, not miracles.
Oh, sorry. There's a fine line anymore. So,
well, I think my suggestion is we should all go to Sweden. I heard about Peter's house and the piano and the location.
Please come.
Sign me up. Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you so much. Anybody would like to say something else about future projects? Any invitation to people out there? I know Sandra is recording a new CD. Peter is recording, or soon. Antonio is researching for a new recording. Késia just launched a new single.
I launched an EP. With non-classical, so para frente, go to non-classical websites there, really nice with toy piano pieces and pieces with electronics. And there is the album with Charlotte Bauderiou, Isolation, so miniatures that she wrote during lockdown.
So all the artists' websites are on the description on the YouTube. Sandra, you would say something.
No, just when you said the word invitation, Erica and I have part of our YouTube project is to invite pianists of all levels, students, teachers, amateurs, professionals. If you want to be recording a piece for our channel, just as long as it comes from that IMSLP list that we have, we'd love to have you join us. So
I think
the more the merrier.
I think the invitation should go to Peter and Antonio and Késia.
Absolutely.
Everyone is welcome.
And you play the piano as well, Gabriella, I'm sure.
No.
Oh. We'll find something for you.
I can play the toy piano.
We'll find something for you to record.
Yeah, no, I play. Well, thank you so much. I don't think we have any questions. Thank you, people who are here with us watching. I'm sure all the artists here will welcome if you want to ask them later something else. Their websites is down here. I listed lots of sites here, but I might add some afterwards as well. Please share this video with more people. Visit Donne's website, share the stories of women with other people, invite more people to be curious, because there is a world of music to be discovered, and not only music, stories, inspiration. You know, half of the story of music is still missing, and I thank you all for your time to help me to have this amazing conversation. And 1 hour is not enough, honestly. Afternoon webinar next time. Thank you all so much, and we will see you all. Just for the people watching, next week I have a fantastic conversation with C.N. Lester, amazing advocate, trans composer, songwriter, writer, and I'm gonna really treasure this conversation, because I think one thing we all have to keep doing now is learning and educating ourselves about how to include people properly. And join me if you can, or share the video with more people. See you all very soon. I ask my panelists to please stay here just for 2 minutes, and I see you all very soon, guys.
Thank you.